Two small spheres of mass m and 3m move with speeds u and v in opposite directions. The smaller mass is brought to rest. There's often a very, I remember somebody asked me a question, right? And it's the funniest question ever. Probably wasn't funny to him at the time, but he basically goes, I go, oh, look, it's you going to the right and V going to the left. And he goes, how do you know if they're not going the other way? In opposite directions. Well, then it's like, what collision happened then, you know? So it was really weird. But anyways, I did get asked that question before. I probably find it funnier than most. All right, nextly, M and 3M. And then we got M and 3M again. Now, smaller mass is brought to rest. This guy is going 0. And yet the bigger mass is moving off in the opposite direction, happy as Larry. We'll call it X. Can anybody make a prediction? What needs to happen for that to actually happen? Which one's going to be bigger, U or V? U is going to be, it's like hitting a marble against a snooker ball. If you want to move that snooker ball, you're going to need some speed to make that happen. Okay? And then your marble just stops in its space and the snooker ball rolls off really, really slowly. Okay? So we're expecting U to be a much bigger value than V, is what I'm thinking is going to happen. Okay? Or something like that. Now, let's do what you always do. Go on autopilot, do the conservation of momentum. Okay? M1 is M, U1, M2 is 3M, V is going in the opposite direction. M1, V1, M2, V2, which is X. Okay? Cancel those M's and you're going to get U minus 3V equals, what's it, 3X. Conservation of momentum. Now you're going to go for NEL, Newton's experimental law. U1 minus U2, oh sorry, V1 minus V2. Minus E into U1 minus U2. Okay. So, V1 minus V2. 0 minus X equals minus E into U minus V, which is U plus V. Minus X equals minus EU minus EV. Actually, no need to do that. We're gonna factorize it out anyway. Just leave it alone. So multiply both sides by negative. Which letter is missing from my answer? Which letter has no reason to be there? X. That's the case. We just sub out X, and then there's no issue anymore. Sub out X, and we get 3 times E into U plus V, and then we can get E on its own, which is U minus 3V all over 3 times U, 3 times V, which is 3U. We're done. Now, show that U is bigger than 3V. Okay. What do you understand about the E value? Any idea what E value actually means from a practical standpoint? Huh? If you had an E value of 1, what would happen if I dropped the ball from 2 meters high? So if I had an E value of 1 and I dropped the ball from 2 meters high, what would happen? Perfect bounce every time. Technically, you could almost have infinite energy or something like that. If you could do that, you could sort of make a lot of energy from just bouncing something off the ball. And not necessarily infinite energy, but you can somehow. If you had an E value bigger than 1, that'd be definitely infinite energy. Okay, but that's not the case. Now, what about the other extreme, an E value of 0? What happens when you bounce it? Stays there. bit like Velcro, ain't gonna bounce. Okay? So what we're saying is that the E value always has to be bigger than 0 and probably less than 1. All right? So what can you say about this E value here then? What can you say here? That this value always has to be, what way are we looking for? Yeah, we'll go bigger than 0. So it has to be, show that U is always bigger than 3V. E can't be negative, can it? Did we say earlier E can't be negative? E can never be smaller than 1. So E, this equals E, and E always has to be bigger than or equal to 0. So I can replace this part here with my E value has to be bigger than or equal to 0. Now what drives a fraction's value? Numerator or denominator? Usually. Usually the numerator is what makes it bigger than 0. The denominator can be anything. It's the numerator that makes it positive or negative usually. So in the case of x over 3, it's the x value that determines if it's positive or negative. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to concentrate on the numerator. We're going to say u minus 3v has to be bigger than or equal to 0. Bring it over. U is bigger than or equal to 3v. And you're done. Good? All right. Yeah. Yeah.